And save money buying a used car, but at a dangerous expense. Tonight, in a Target 8 investigation, we discovered wrecked cars being fixed up and sold without any airbags in them. Target 8 investigator Marlee Ginter is in studio right now with the story. Marlee?
Well, Sue, one woman recently brought her car to the dealership after an airbag recall. But when a mechanic went to fix it, there was nothing inside the airbag compartment but foam. That customer had no idea. Sounds scary. We found more. Banged up cars come in, get worked on, and fixed up. But too often, one repair reveals several dangers.
Somebody butchered this car and some customer got taken advantage of.
I'm so angry about this. You know, this is ridiculous.
Alex Bobbion bought a 2005 Infiniti in December. He says he thought the airbag system was turned off, but when a mechanic looked inside, the airbag system wasn't turned off. It wasn't even there.
The first of all is unsafety. Unsafety for me, for my family, you know.
Someone filled the airbag compartment with foam, then covered it up to make it look like a working airbag system.
They'll actually cut the old bag off, glue everything back down, do a little vinyl repair on it so it looks like it has an airbag, but it really doesn't.
Kelly Glass with Hansen Collision sees it all the time. Most would never even know they don't have working airbags until they're in an accident.
It's a scary feeling to find out you're driving around and something that's not safe.
Pedro Hernandez got into a fender bender right after he bought this truck, damaging the driver's side. But technicians found hidden damage on the passenger side too. We ran checks and discovered a crash damaged the passenger side last year. So bad an insurance company ruled the truck a total loss. Technicians found the airbag sensor on that side still chipped and not even mounted, just dangling below the truck.
You hit something and that airbag don't go off, then what's going to happen? You know, they're going to go towards the windshield.
That's definitely a problem.
Target 8 asked State Salvage Vehicle Inspector John Wilson to look at Hernandez's truck.
But if it were dangling down, it would be completely dysfunctional. That's real obvious. So that would be an obvious cue for an inspector to start looking for other problems.
The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration studied about 1,500 deadly crashes and found 1 in 5 vehicles had no airbags. They'd never been replaced after a previous crash. Inspector Wilson has failed cars that didn't have working airbags.
I've seen too many horrible accidents that could have been prevented by functioning airbags.
So how would you know who's protecting you? We took our findings to the Secretary of State's office in Lansing. There's not even an airbag in here. Spokesperson Geesche Gendreau says it's not illegal for a dealership to sell a car without a working airbag, as long as the customer knows. It sounds like a pretty serious issue.
Most of our licensed dealers and repair facilities are professionals who take great pride in providing good services.
The ones we found were pretty hideous. Are they, will this be stopped? Is there a way the state can do that? Gendreau says you have to fill out a complaint form for the state to investigate. Target 8 went straight to the dealerships that sold these cars. Why would you sell him a piece of junk?
This isn't legal.
Well, you can't just talk to us about this?
Not on camera, no.
Will you talk to us off camera about it?
No, I'll talk to him.
Hernandez says he did give him a new bumper, but reminded him he knew he was buying a car that had been in an accident and that he was buying it as is. I'm a Target 8 investigator with Wood TV. Bobbion bought his car, the one with nothing but foam in the airbag compartment, at Lee Auto Export in Grand Rapids. And get this, Target 8 discovered the state is already investigating Lee Auto Export, but officials won't tell us why while the investigation is open. When I show you these pictures, and you see that this was nothing but foam.
Right.
You're saying your company didn't do that?
No, we don't. A lot of customers, they just fix it instead of, they just fake to drive it, but they know that no airbags in it.
Molly Lee handles all the sales paperwork. She says she always tells customers when the airbags don't work, and many choose not to get them fixed to save money. This isn't something your company's doing without the customer knowing?
No, if I sell something, I just let them know that the car in an accident, then airbag is not working.
So you do tell them the airbag is...
Did you know that it didn't have airbags?
No,
She says she tells everyone.
no. She didn't tell nothing.
So here's how you can protect yourself. Carfax keeps tabs on cars that have had deployed airbags, and we've got a link on woodtv.com. But experts say always take a used car to a dealership that has mechanics certified to work on that brand's airbag system. Have them inspect it before you buy. They can tell if there's a working airbag or not. Several states have either looked into laws or are passing laws that make selling cars without airbags illegal. Michigan isn't one of them. Well, Brian and Sue, we know the state just put one of the dealerships we looked into on probation. And since we first started looking into this, many of you have contacted us after finding out you didn't have airbags in your car. We reached out to several lawmakers, and believe it or not, no one wanted to talk about it. Arturo Esquivel parked his car and wouldn't drive it after he saw our Target 8 investigation in February. We found used cars sold in West Michigan with faulty airbag systems, or none at all.
I'm so angry about this. You know, this is ridiculous.
You hit something and that airbag don't go off, then what's going to happen? You know, they're going to go towards the windshield.
Drivers told us they had no idea.
Did you know that it didn't have airbags?
No,
She says she tells everyone.
no. She didn't tell nothing.
We told you about Lee Auto Export in Grand Rapids. That's where Esquivel bought his car. This isn't something your company's doing without the customer knowing.
No.
Our story prompted Esquivel to get his airbags checked out. Mechanics told him not only were there no airbags, the light bulb that lights up the warning signal was missing.
And it says I don't have my seatbelt on, car's in park, gives you the information, nothing else.
The state investigated Lee Auto after an airbag complaint, but ended up putting it on a 2-year probation for other violations involving record keeping. I spoke with Marlee Lee again, this time over the phone. She told me Esquivel knew what he was buying. However, since our story, she says she now puts in writing when a car doesn't have working airbags.
And I didn't suspect anything until I actually saw the Wood TVA report saying that Lee Auto was selling autos without airbags. And that's when I was like, oh my gosh, I could be one of those people.
So who's protecting you? A high-profile case in California prompted lawmakers there to step up. In 2008, 18-year-old Bobby Ellsworth was killed in a crash. His airbags didn't deploy. Investigators found the airbag compartment stuffed with paper. The owner of the auto body shop responsible later committed suicide. California and other states, including Florida, now prohibit dealerships from selling cars without airbags. But Michigan has no such law and nothing in the works. I sat down with Secretary of State Ruth Johnson.
Is Michigan not stepping up to the plate?
I think in Michigan we say that people can make their own decision on whether that they want a car with airbags or not.
Do you think that's enough though?
I think giving the people the right to make the decision is important.
Johnson says her office will fine and even take a dealership's license away for dishonest practices. But it's up to you to file a complaint for the state to investigate.
Or to say that there are airbags and there's not. That's egregious, and it is against the law.
AAA Traffic Safety Manager Jack Pete says a new law may not be practical. Shouldn't Michigan have a law in place?
Well, that's difficult to say. It would be a very hard law to enforce, and I'm not.
For people's safety.
Well, certainly, but I'm not necessarily a proponent of just automatically doing a law. There are other options.
Pete says forcing dealerships to put in writing that the car doesn't have working airbags could be the better route. In fact, Rhode Island already does that. When the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration studied about 1,500 deadly crashes, 1 in 5 vehicles had no airbags. They'd never been replaced after a previous crash.
It could be the decision whether you live or die in an accident. I mean, that's what they're there for. You know, they're the safety issue. So
Esquivel says he'll check everything before he closes the deal on his next car. We found industry leaders in Michigan are now pushing for regulation on mobile dentists. One mom told us she trusted her son's care to a mobile dentist and got way more than a toothache. She suddenly discovered her son's teeth were rotting. Andrew Jaworowitz is 24 years old.
Yep, you go.
But his mother, Sarah, still takes care of him like she did the day he was born. Andrew has the mental capacity of a 6-month-old.
It's an adult baby. He can't tell me if he's in pain. He can cry, he can whine, but you have to pinpoint it yourself. He can't tell you what's bothering him.
He couldn't tell Mom when his mouth hurt, so when he fell and broke several teeth, Sarah rushed him to the dentist.
So I was up all night caring for him.
Sarah had no idea what she was in for.
Oh yeah, I was shocked. The dentist was angry at me. He said, who is responsible for the care of his teeth? Who is responsible for this?
An oral surgeon determined, aside from the fall, Andrew's teeth were so badly decayed, he needed to have all 32 of them extracted.
I cried. And then I said, you know, for his care, for his health, do it.
Sarah says she's always relied on a mobile dentistry program based in Southeast Michigan that visits Andrew's school in Grand Rapids. This is the last record she says she received when Andrew had his teeth cleaned last November. The dentist's notes simply say, "Please help with brushing. Has lots of plaque and debris on his teeth." We tried to get a response. The first time we called, a doctor wouldn't give us her full name, refused to discuss the case, and then wouldn't return our calls requesting more information on the program and its dentists.
Is it possible that just within a few months your teeth can decay that quickly?
I would say, in my personal opinion, that's doubtful. It's probably not impossible, but I agree with your concern. Your level of skepticism, I think, is warranted.
Grand Rapids oral surgeon Norm Palm is also the president-elect of the Michigan Dental Association, which is pushing for more regulation on the mobile dentist industry.
We don't want to regulate to the extent that a child is excluded from care, yet at the same time, I think we're beyond the point of just speaking to best practices without some legislation.
The MDA wants written agreements from mobile dentists, ensuring they'll come back regularly, have working relationships with local dentists who can jump in an emergency, and make sure patient records are easily accessible by those local dentists. Sarah says she's requested Andrew's records 3 times in the last 2 months and still hasn't received them.
I'm $10,000 in debt. But he's worth more than that.
In all fairness, don't you have a vested interest, though, to not have these mobile dentists coming into your community and taking business?
Do I? No. Okay. Do we as an association take that point of view? No.
I'm hoping that nobody else has to go through this. It's not fair. There should be accountability.
The MDA stresses not all mobile dentists are questionable, but that the industry still needs regulation. It's gathering support from the State Department of Community Health, school nurses, and school administrators. I'm Target 8 investigator Marlee Ginter. Well, Brian and Sue, we're standing outside AJ's Grocery in Zeeland, where many parents out here say they've seen spice and these incense blends known as designer drugs being sold. I just spoke with the owner who says he plans on stopping the sale of these designer drugs next week. But let me show you, that's not enough for people still standing out here. This sign, Parents Against Spice Sales. This one, AJ's, with a big slash through it. They've been standing out here since 4 o'clock this afternoon. And for many people out here, this is a personal mission. They've had children and other loved ones who have used these incense blends, and they say it ruined their lives. Right now for them, a ban on these drugs could not come soon enough. I spoke to the owner out here. He says he'll stop selling it on Wednesday.
That's not good. If you want to stop selling, you stop right now if you truly care about your community. You're in our community, making your dollars.
And this protest comes just as yesterday the Senate passed new legislation targeting these incense blends, basically empowering local law enforcement agencies to keep up with the ever-changing drugs. That now will head to the House, and of course, we'll let you know what happens. Live in Zeeland, Marlee Ginter, 24 Hour News 8.